first international artist. So she's based in Bangalore and she's gorgeous and she's got the best nails in the world. You check out her fingernails, they're amazing. But let's have a little look at some of her work. It's Zorain Khaleeli. Can we have a round of applause for Zorain, please? And guys, if you could set the stage for me, that would be amazing. We'll have a little chat, Zorain.
Good morning.
Look at you.
Good morning, Bangalore, and thank you so much, Armand.
We're in Bombay. We're in Mumbai.
Oh, sorry.
You see, you got heckled already.
Yeah, oh my God. Sorry, guys. Good morning, Mumbai. Beautiful Mumbai. I love the city. It's got lots of fond memories for me because I have worked a lot here too. And I'm so looking forward to actually spending this hour with you.
Because your history is a beautiful one, actually. I mean, 10 years with Mac as well. You've been freelance now for 4 years.
Right.
So what made you want to go freelance, Zorain, and set up Zorain Studio in Bangalore?
First and foremost, I would like to thank my past life and platforms like I got, like Mac and things like that, because that gave me international exposure and taught me a lot of makeup. Now, makeup is a science, is an art. People keep wondering, what is it? They call it more of an art. I would call it a scientific art. So there's a lot that goes into it that actually makes makeup beautiful. And if you can do it right with the right technique, I think that's what's important. And somewhere down the line, I think Mumbai at least has it a little bit more, but down south, you don't really have technique as the priority. It was just makeup that we had learned from the ages. But now we wanted to bring technique with makeup and make it the most scientifically artistic art form.
So really, your session today is very much about going back to basics.
Absolutely.
It's getting the skin texture right, the skin coloring right, because we have so many different shades to work on in this multicultural society that we are. So especially for people who want to work on an international level, it's really important to get the shades right of the foundation. And that's something that you're very passionate about, isn't it?
Yes, totally. It's about the undertones that sometimes we just tend to mix because unlike the other parts of the world where you have either a extreme warm or a cool undertone, but over here we're a good mix. Like I don't think there's any other country that has as many skin tones and shades that we do. We're the privileged one. But there again, as makeup artists, the challenge is to make sure that you can adapt that same undertone, like swap the undertones and even find a secret undertone that's quite peach.
Okay, so let's bring on your model. Where is your model? A round of applause for this gorgeous girl. It takes a lot of courage to step up on this stage and be a beautiful model. Okay, Zorain, so I'm going to let you crack on because I know we haven't really got that much time.
Sure.
If I can help in any way, let me know. If you need anything
I'm just going to be jumping there and here for products.
You just do that. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so already you've done the eyebrows. The skin is left bare at the moment.
Absolutely bare. And unlike normally what we would do is we'd want someone with very clean skin. But what we have to understand is in India, with the climatic conditions and everything, we normally do not get very clear skin all the time. So the model I've chosen for you, A for one, has quite dry skin. 2, has a bit of unevenness, which we all do somewhere or the other. But remember, whatever the skin condition or type, we can always manage with makeup. Okay, and that's what I'm going to show you today.
Okay, so what are we going to use first of all? I see you've got a collection of multi-brands here as well, which again is a benefit of being freelance, I suppose.
Absolutely. So that's like an advantage that I have. So because of no brand, pick the best from wherever. So I have definitely put on a Studio Moisture Cream onto her skin and doused her with a bit of Fix Plus. That's again from MAC. I'm sure all of you all are quite aware. But I am going to get a teeny weeny tad bit more on because obviously her skin is extremely dry. So when you are actually working with someone, I would say if supposing you find that their skin's really dry, get a bit of moisturizer on till you can prep your stations, do everything, and then go in for more. Tell me, how many of you here are comfortable just with English? Would you want me to do Hindi? I promise मैं हिंदी अच्छा बोलती हूँ because I am Indian. Okay, a few Hindi as well. So we will do the English, where we'll do little Hindi, little English, and still have fun. Okay?
So is that called Hinglish?
English.
Hinglish.
The little
okay.
bit of Hindi and the little bit of English. So, like I said, Studio Moisture Cream, what I love about this particular product for me is the fact that it's, like it says, it's a cream, but it's really, really hydrating. I love the texture of this. I have sanitized my hands. The reason why I do like using my hands is the fact that the warmth from the skin normally tends to push your products in furthermore. For times that you don't want to touch the skin, it's great. Use like a dual tone fluffy brush and you can just swap on the product, moving basically in quick sweeping motions. Remember never to overdouse the skin as well, because if you did overdouse the skin, आप बहुत अगर moisturizer डाल देते हैं तो उसमें क्या होगा, आपका next वाला product टिकेगा नहीं skin पे, slip हो जाएगा. So it's very important that you just take a little bit nicely. If you can see, she's got a shine from already some of the prep that I have done before. If in case you do find that there is a lot more moisture, what you can do is just sometimes either single ply your tissue, just pat dry whatever is excess. Remember, like I said, when you overdouse the skin, especially just before what you're going to do next, then sometimes you can have like a slight slip off.
I probably need that because it's so hot up
Yes,
here.
Especially in the humidity here, Armand, it's so important that you do have moisture in your skin, but remember your borderline from actually even going a little oily. So that's the product for you.
Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do as well, what Zorain uses, we'll have a little close-up. So guys, if you can just zoom in on this so you guys can see. There you go. Ooh, it's so weird doing it back to front. There you go. I used to work on the shopping channel. Does anybody watch a shopping channel? Yes, so I used to do QVC and things like that. There we go. So, and it's got a really lovely reflective tone to this as well. So it's very iridescent on the skin. It gives a really lovely glow to the skin.
It's more, yeah, the water content is so high that it really gives a nice sheen instant.
Okay.
The next product that I am using is a Makeup Forever Step 1 hydrant. It's the base hydrant. You get two different varieties in this. They are primers. Now, we all know that we love primers, but we also need to know that there are different kinds of primers available in the market, and not every primer suits every skin. So if you do tend to have someone with very dry skin, then I would suggest you do something that has a hydrating base, like this one. The Makeup Forever also has another one which is slightly deeper. It's thoda aur zyada dark grey hai. वो matte कराने के लिए है. It's a very nice one to actually use on oily skin. Now, primers, unlike thicker primers, some primers, I would suggest keep your priming to areas of where you need most moisture, more hydration, and if you have any skin issues. Try and avoid areas like this. यहाँ पर ज़्यादा ना डालें क्योंकि हम लोग सब के पास थोड़ा ना थोड़ा कुछ बाल होता है. अगर प्राइमर बाल के ऊपर पड़ जाता है, if the primer is on the hair, then what happens is products tend to get onto that. So you don't want to highlight the hair on the sides of your cheeks. And I like using it with fluffy brushes. I just feel these sort of brushes just help me work softer onto the skin.
Do you tend to use a lot of brushes with your makeup, or
Yes,
do you
I
use your hands a lot?
Hands I use definitely sometimes, especially when there is extremely dry skin. Now that's something that I always have used as a trick. If supposing the person's skin is really dry, कभी-कभी आप देखते हो तो वो skin peel हो जाता है, मेकअप डालते टाइम वो उठ के आ जाता है. तो if we use a fluffy brush use करने से वो और उठ के आ जाएगा. कुछ flat या तो flat brush या best चीज होता है अपना thumb. So when you take your thumb and you actually mix the product, the warmth in it pushes back the product, and even if there is a lift off of skin, it kind of helps the skin to actually settle down rather than rake up skin, because with a fluffy brush you can actually exfoliate a bit more. Now coming to foundations, I've swapped it into another container of course, but I am using Kryolan. This is one brand in foundations that I like. A lot of us think that it is very heavy, but when worked well into the skin, it's not really very heavy. It depends on how much you take. So it's not about taking a lot of product. बहुत ज़्यादा product ना लें आप, पर बहुत जो skin को चाहिए color वो चाहिए. अभी हम लोग अगर skin का अभी बात करते हैं, अरमान्स का skin देख लो, हमारा skin देख लो, इनका skin देख लो. अगर मैं आपको पूछूं आपको pink दिखता है या yellow, आप बोलोगे कि हाँ pink भी दिखता है, yellow भी दिखता है? Yes. हम लोग नॉर्मली क्या सिखाया जाता है कि येलो बेस फाउंडेशन इंडियन स्किन के लिए बहुत अच्छा होता है. करेक्ट. मोस्ट ऑफन यस. मैं साउथ इंडिया से हूँ एंड यहाँ पर भी काफी डार्क स्किन्स मिलते हैं. अगर मैं येलो कलर का डार्क स्किन पे यूज कर लूँ तो उसमें क्या होता है, डार्क स्किन में रेड या ब्लड का मात्रा ज्यादा होता है. तो जब हम लोग येलो यूज कर देते हैं उनका स्किन पेल हो जाता है या डल हो जाता है. I have a question. Yes, Shwa.
Let me come down there. Did you ask a question?
She wants me to even repeat that in English.
Okay.
So what happens is, sometimes when you go on a deeper skin especially, the fact that, look up for me please, we don't realize, we feel that if it is deeper skin, but we're Indian, we should use yellow undertones. But contrary to what happens, can I give this to you, Mala? Contrary to what happens, the deeper the skin color that it gets, the more darker the skin it goes, sometimes the warmth in it increases. So sometimes you need more like a warmer tone than like a cooler tone. So in India, we definitely have to make sure that we're not just using cool tones or normally warm tones, but in her skin, which is an ideal skin, most Indians have this sort of a skin color, we would mix, like if you take the MAC, the Pro palettes, the small ones, have you all seen that? The foundation ones. Those are, I think, one of the most popular ones that people use, I'm sure. So what happens is, one side you have the yellow, one side you have the orange. I would suggest you mix a bit of the yellow with the orange series and make a peach, because that's what works well on skin. So right now what I am doing is I am mixing tones with a bit of orange. Now we've learned concealing in different ways. There are multiple ways of doing concealing. Most often than not, what I have seen is people would use an orange first, and then post that, they will use another color. What I find sometimes on our Indian skin, since we do have an undertone somewhere that turns out a little peachy, the orange tends to stand out. So what I normally do is I follow this trick which works really well for me, and I call it the power of 3. So what I like to do is take 1, the corrector, that's the orange, 2, the concealer, which normally is an opposite undertone, and the foundation color. And I mix the 3 and I get a shade so that I can get quite good clarity on the skin.
I tend to find the Kryolan color wheel is very good as well. I've used that for quite a few years. And of course, Kryolan are next door, and they have an amazing orange tone, which really is super at neutralizing darkness under the eyes, and also for tattoos, pigmentation, vitiligo. So it's worthwhile having a look at the Kryolan color wheel if you can next door.
What I'm doing also right now is obviously getting any areas the
Sorry?
combinations of what I'm using right now. I'm actually using 5. So like I said, the power of 3 doesn't need to mean just 3, but I'm using 2 from a skin tone, 2 from a corrective tone, and 2 from a concealer tone, and 1 from a corrector tone. So if you look over here, I'm using something like a DFD and a D5. I am using also a D74 and a D13. And then I am using your orange, which is your D30. So what happens is this, when we have a palette, so this is my personal thing where I prefer more creams than liquids, is the bases of which here I get to play. So whenever I need more of a deeper color, thoda aur dark chahiye, I take a little more darker shade. If I need a lighter shade, I can automatically go more light, less dark, less orange, more orange, based on whatever I would like.
Does anybody have a question? Yeah? Just hold on to that for me. I'm going to come down so we can hear what you're saying. Where's that hand? Here we go. Coming over. Hi, what's your question?
Zorain, actually आप जो derma use कर रहे हैं, most of the time it's very dry. So
Correct.
how come you're taking it right away from the palette? Have you mixed anything, any makeup blend?
Nothing.
Can you also please specify the brushes that you're using?
Sure, of
Yeah.
course. So right now I'm using actually a PAC's 213. This is actually my favorite because like you see, it's flat on the front. It's a dual fiber, so it picks very little product. The biggest thing with Kryolan and derma is the fact that people like to use a lot more. So they take it and they slap it on quite thick, and then it's very difficult to blend. If you notice, I am literally tickling my brush onto the product. No, I'm not. Right now, no, I'm not.
So you're mixing your own.
I'm mixing it.
mixing
Just
her own blend.
direct product. There is no blend added to this. Remember, the skin is so nice and moist and well prepped. The biggest thing that you need to understand is skin prep. If your skin prep is not right, if there's no moisture on the skin, like a lot of times people have told me that, oh, you know what, she's oily skin, can we avoid moisturizer? That, to me, is devastation. If you don't use moisturizer, even on oily skin, that could cause a lot more problems for you. Because either oily or dry, you definitely need moisture to hold your products in the skin. It's as simple as you eating a biryani or having your French fries. आप जब तेल खाते हो, when it's very oily, you're looking for something that's really, really moist. Like you want a Pepsi, you want to drink some water. That's exactly what your skin's actually doing. Your skin can't really demand for the water, but it will soak away any sort of water that exists in your next product. That's your foundation or primer, and leave the skin back again really, really dehydrated. In fact, oily skin is more dehydrated than any other skin. So please, every time, moisturize.
It's really important. And also to drink plenty of water. Your skin is the largest organ on your body. And we are 70% water. So we really do need to keep hydrated. And as Zorain said, a lot of oilier skin types tend to be very dehydrated. So it's really important that you stay away from the aggressive cleansing routine, which can strip your skin of essential oil, and then your body will overproduce oil as a reaction. So again, be very, very clever with your skincare routine, because your makeup is only as good as your skin. So it's really important to look after the skin. Do we have any more questions for Zorain at the moment? We've got a question over there, Zorain, for you. I'm going to come down.
In the meantime, if you notice, I have like a stippling motion into my hand, because what I am doing for the skin is actually polishing it. So while I apply, if you notice, there's a nice sheen that's coming onto the skin with an average amount of coverage. The new trend is not to load the skin or overload the skin. Remember, flaws, when you try to over-conceal them, they tend to stand out more. So what's best is to put very little, but make sure that they look really neat and nice.
Okay, Zorain, we've got a question.
Sure.
The reason behind why have you chose opposite undertone for the concealer?
So normally what happens is from makeup theory that we learn, it's very, very important to understand what you're correcting. So normally what happens is the undertone will be influenced by blood. So it's either dried blood. So sometimes, especially with us, pigmentation. Pigmentation is nothing but dried blood, which is quite blue in its undertone, especially on our skin. And that's why, if you notice, we as Indians use a lot more orange to correct the undertones. But if you go into the far west and you see, for a person with very light skin, they actually would need something quite violet because they have quite yellow, because they have quite violet undertones under their eyes. So something that is very cool will actually cut it. So it's like if you ever studied the color wheel, we use complementary colors to cut. So if the skin is normally an NC or a cool tone, you'd need a W to cut down any of the things. It's not like a generic rule, but most often than not, especially with us Indian skins, it works because the pigmentation is very high. But when the pigmentation is not, agar bahut zyada color difference nahi ho, aap same undertone use kar sakte hain. If the color difference is not too much, you can still use the same undertone, but a color or two deeper than the skin.
So that's a good guideline. Is that okay? Yep. Anybody else for a question for Zorain? Okay. Oh, yes, sorry.
Ma'am, actually, how can I assemble the palette?
How can we assemble the palette?
Yeah.
This is something which will work obviously with personal choice. So there is no one way of doing it, but you can put your colors I've put them from light to dark, and I've put my correctors on the bottom. So like I say, there is no exact way, because especially when you're using Kryolan, there is no numbering system. If a DFD is light, D13 could be really dark. There is no number system that you can follow with Kryolan. So I would say go from light to dark, make sure that all your lights are together, whether they are yellow, whether they are pink undertones, don't really bother.
It's just finding a way that works for you so that you can see it clearly and it works clearly for you. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Ooh, over here, I'm coming over this way. Hi, what's your question?
Hi. Ma'am, actually you're using Kryolan, right?
Right.
Are you using Kryolan Derma or Supra?
Derma. Doesn't it look
Derma
like
is
Supra?
something...
Oh, sorry, I was trying to look where I would see it.
I'm here.
Yeah.
If Derma is little bit thick, right?
Yes, it is.
But you're using a stippling motion.
Correct.
So what it happens, it just harm the skin. Am I right or wrong? Because I use only the tapping movement. Because that is, I felt I'm just placing the foundation on the skin, especially for the pigmentation. So if you focus on a pigmented skin, orange or whatever it is you are putting, you have to place the product. If you are doing whatever it is, you're stippling, right? So you're moving the products, right?
So the difference where I would see, and I would read between this, is the fact that you need to place product if you are loading product. But remember, my aim is not to load the skin with foundation.
Yeah, but Derma is little bit thick, so that you have to keep the product and you have to hide the pigmentation.
Correct.
So, yeah, for that only I'm asking. For this moment, you're just taking the products again.
Absolutely.
That is what,
I'm getting to that point. So what I want to actually focus on is the fact that of using the right colors. It's not the consistency of a product. You can use something that's really thick, but you don't need to layer it. Imagine the scenario where it's really thick and you're placing product. The chances of it moving, slipping, and looking cakey is quite high.
No,
so if your
just
skin is very... I'll just complete that. So if your skin's really moist, okay, your skin tends to absorb fast.
Okay.
And then what happens is, plus I'm taking very little product, extremely, extremely little product. So this is something, so we all think that's why I wanted to use Derma today, is because we all underestimate the brand and the Derma thing and say, you know what, it's thick, we may not be able to use it in every condition. Frankly, it's something that stays on your skin for a very, very long time. So what happens is, as long as you're taking the right color, you will correct pigmentation. You don't need to take more product. You need to take the right undertone to correct pigmentation. So if you notice, wherever I need it for pigmentation, I did stick to orange.
Okay.
But now I'm totally steering away from orange, getting areas now when I start highlighting, oranges will be cut off. But I can layer products one over the other rather than placing them and making them really thick.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, dear.
So it really is about less is more.
Absolutely.
And just gently building.
Absolutely,
Now, we had a
Armand.
question over here as well. Okay. Hi, what's your question?
Hello, ma'am. This is
Hi.
Gitanjali from Rajasthan.
Hi, Rajni.
So, I'm facing the problem when I'm applying this concealer and everything. Under eye circles, I have to cover up, right?
Correct.
In my, that area is dry area. The Rajasthan area is dry area.
True.
So, after some time, I got some lines on my client, like white patches and everything. Under the eye circles.
Absolutely.
That is the same, that is the main problem I'm facing.
It is definitely a big issue. Number one of the biggest things we normally don't take care of is to hydrate the skin under our eyes. Now, this is a common problem all over. A lot of us do it. Sometimes even I forget it in my own skin regime and don't put some hydration under the eyes. It's very, very important. So if you are starting, I would say start with something like this. It's the Clinique Even Better Eyes. I love this product because what it does is it gives you an instant hydration, but it's not very thick. So what happens is when it's added onto the skin, it kind of moisturizes the eye without letting the product move. Okay, so that's one. And the second thing is it's about using again less products. So sometimes because the dark circle is so dark, what we're trying to do is use 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, and then the product tends to slip, especially when you're using something as thick as derma. So what you can do is then swap to using the right color. So if it was like a deep undertone, like somewhere really dark, I would actually even go all the way to like a DJ13 here with a DJ12 or a D30. Try playing with your colors. Don't get scared with these dark colors. They're beautiful. So remember, the dark colors will help you tone down. But if you use just the dark colors, it does nothing. It just adds more darkness under the eye. But if you are using your dark, which is like a concealer-ish, with lighter shades, which are more the foundation color, and you mix a bit of the orange, you'll get, most often than not, you will get a beautiful mix to put onto the skin direct. And when it's a beautiful mix, you just need to put maybe once or twice and you're done. You will cover the under eyes.
So the name of the product for the eyes was the Clinique product?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. So the product name is Even Better Eyes by Clinique. It's a good point that you made there because the eye area is 40% finer than the rest of the skin on the face. So what you tend to find with genetics, as well as with poor diet, etc., there can be many factors that can contribute to darkness around the eyes. It's really important you get the best eye treatment. There's a really good brand called Skinergy, SKN-RG. They do mail order. It's an organic, natural and vegan eye treatment, and it's a multi-award-winning product called Eye Elixir. Amazing for under eye circles and for darkness. Have a little look at that. So that's called Skinergy, SKN-RG, and the product is Eye Elixir. I use that a lot on my celebrity clients, and it's gorgeous. Okay. Yes, Skinergy. So have a look at their website, www.skn-rg.com. Skinergy.com. Gorgeous, organic, natural and vegan brand. Beautiful. So I know we're running out of time. We've got 15-20 minutes, my darling. So
I've moved on to contouring.
Super.
And with contouring, now there are multiple types of contouring, and some things that you can focus on is the fact that how intense you want your contours. So most often than not, we all use red undertones, right, to give our contours. I would say when you want deep contours, red undertones work beautifully. But when you want natural contours, people not to see too much of your contours, something like a brown which has like an element of gray in it can give you very subtle contours. So a lot of our brides here do not like looking very dark, right? Correct? Everyone likes to look a little fair. So when we do use very red contours, they tend to get a little more deeper on their skin, and that's something that they're not really something that they really like. So what we would do is move to something that's slightly more gray. So now if you look at the palette, something like a DJ1. Yes, please. So when you look at DJ1, the brown has a slight gray tone to it, which gives you subtle contours. Now when you want to mix it, you can even do the gray with a slight amount of red.
So which one is that again?
That's this one here,
Okay.
Armand.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been using. And if you do want a slight more depth, then remember you can always ombre your contours. So get your natural gray tone contours coming slightly deeper in. But to create more depth and dimension and not make the entire face quite deep, you could get your warm undertone contours just closer to the hairline.
And again, this is the Derma color from
This
Kryolan.
is all from one palette. So I'm quite lazy, quite apparently. And plus, since we're running out on time, so obviously I'm going to try and use as much as possible. Most of us do buy the Kryolan palette. And how do we use it best? Here you go. Lots out of one. So these are the areas that I have touched. I have done the under part of her cheekbone. The biggest thing that I find, a lot of my students do this as well, is that the tendency is to blend downwards. The minute you blend downwards, you actually make the cheekbone broader. So if you actually blended the product upwards into the temples, you kind of mimic a shadow to the bone, and hence the bone stands out. Now, remember, all contour or highlight is nothing but playing with light. So whatever I would relate it to physics actually. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So we've pushed in a certain area, and if you want to bring out more of the other area, the minute you put this in, automatically you get a sheen and a high over here. But if you did use your highlights, you'd get high cheekbones even more beautiful. So now I'm using colors like the D3, DF1, which is sometimes we hardly even touch in our palettes, and just about highlighting the cheekbone.
Okay, it's interesting that you're using the Derma color rather than anything with a shimmer pigment in there. So are you doing this just for natural skin, and would you perhaps add a highlighter on there, a shimmer or a mica highlighter?
Definitely, Armand. So sometimes, like I said, in India, skin is our biggest challenge. So I'm adapting the entire thing more to make it a little more regionally relevant for us, because most often than not, you can't highlight with a shimmer mica based product on all skin types. And especially down in India, we do have many more skin issues than anywhere else. So it's nicer to actually first play with your foundations and then add highlights wherever. So you've already got your canvas ready, and you are now the one who can choose where you want to put more.
It's great that you're working with just a very small palette, because again, as you makeup artists would know, you can take so many things with you for your job, whereas here you've basically used there's 3 items here and then your Derma palette. So again, great for traveling. If you're having to take a lot of stuff with you, you don't need to anymore. Do we have any more questions for Zorain? She's finishing up. Yep, we have a question here. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, Zorain. This is
Hi, dear.
Anna. I want to know what is the right placement of a contour for the most, like we have, a lot of us have got heavy cheekbones. So is it near the ear, a little down the earlobe, or is it, have you started from the, right from the ear?
So technically what we've all learnt, which is still valid for a lot of times, is from the tip of the ear on top towards the mouth. Remember, don't come too deep in, because then you'll sculpt the face too much and they would look like a little sulkin. But what you can also do is, depending on if it's a heavier cheek, then sometimes I even go slightly more lower down here. And that's one option that I would use, is I would even darken downwards for someone who is fuller on their cheeks. So remember, dark is to push back anything. So use dark to push back, use light to bring out. Okay?
And what about underneath the jawline as well?
Yes. So I have just given like a slight wash of color a very mild wash of color that will sweep just around, just to contour the the face. But what you have to be careful of is the ribbon effect. Do not just put that and leave that there. It's like a little Easter bunny. It leaves like a ribbon around the face. So I'm setting this now with a MAC. It's the mineralized powder. I love this powder because remember, today we're talking about skin. So I do want the sheen to come through. I do want her to look like a nice, healthy glow on her face. I'm not over mattifying her. Remember, when it comes to powder, you can be selective as to where you're putting the powder. But knowing our climatic conditions, I would reckon that you do powder, but powder lesser than not. This is a lightweight powder, and that's why I chose to use it. If you did use like your loose powders, they could give you a slight more longevity on, like a little more matte on the skin.
And if you had a pressed powder, would you press that powder on if somebody was very oily, or would you again use a brush?
I would press the powder on. Armand, in fact, for the lady over there who asked me for the under eyes, I have this very funny hack that I like to use. I know a lot of us use beauty blenders. The only thing that I'm wary about with beauty blenders is sometimes you need to carry multiple if you're going to do many faces. So sometimes what I do is this little funny hack. That's something that's disposable, so it's great. I kind of take a little bit of the product, like really dust off most of it. You'll notice how much more matte she can go. Just look up for me, love. Especially for areas around the eye.
So you've rolled that into half, the cotton pad.
So I've just kind of
into
bent
a half
it into
moon.
half.
Could you do it on the other side as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Just so we can see, because we've got the camera on this side. So I think everybody
So
can
remember,
see.
less is more. Remember, with makeup, guys, I think the mantra is always less is more. Remember, you can always add on if you would like. If you are setting a under eye area, remember to remove the crease, or else you would set it for a longer time. And
So just pressing that underneath the eye, absorbing any excess oil and shine.
Absolutely. So you could actually do that basically anywhere. If there was anything that I wanted to mattify down, all I needed to do is just take that with a bit of powder, like a loose powder. What I love about loose powder, in fact, Armand, is the fact that I can multiple layer products over it. But if I did a pressed powder, like a lot of us do pressed powder, I've never been able to at least work a cream over it because I know that's devastation. But over a loose powder, what I love about loose powders is they're so versatile that even after powdering, I can go on with a cream.
So that product that you used
is a PAC. It is...
So
it's
PAC Cosmetics translucent powder. That's what Zorain used just under the eye. So that's the PAC.
So now just to actually
product.
compound on my laziness, I am actually taking the pink that exists in a derma palette. Now, most of us, sometimes we go for an event, we don't realize, we forget our blush, and then we're panicking. What do we do? Remember, when you're doing something that's so skin-based, what I really like is to get blush, but blush that looks like it's coming from within. Okay, so this is a shade that I really love. I think it's quite versatile because it goes on every skin. And you can see my laziness. I still haven't changed a brush.
So what shade is this? Is this D32?
32.
D32 in the chroma. In the derma. The derma color. Available from Kryolan. So that's D32. That's a really, really good tip. Because again, you are limiting the amount of products you need to take. It's a cream as well, so that makes it really look glowy on the skin rather than a powder. Because sometimes powders can look a bit drying.
Absolutely.
And this looks a lot more natural because, as Zorain said, it looks as if it's coming from within. That's a beautiful glow.
Now this, I've added a Becca Highlighter. It is the opal one with a bit of cream in it. I love this because easy to carry, not really difficult, comes in a while.
Oh,
You can just
I
put
love
it on.
this.
I
I
love
love
it
Becca
too.
because, again, Becca is a cruelty-free brand. That's one of the brands that I'll be talking about tomorrow. So I haven't tried the highlighter, so that's good.
Fantastic.
You may not see this again.
Oops.
But that's beautiful. Any more questions for Zorain as she's finishing off? We've got any more questions at all? We've got a little question over there. 1 second.
In highlights and powders, I like the hourglass as well. And so do I like the PAC. Don't mind the crack on that. I'll travel with it. But I love even these products. They're very available to us. So I've mixed a blend of products that are available readily in the Indian market for us with a few international products that can add a little spice to your kit. So that's the motive behind using multiple products. Now, since I've used a cream, obviously I'm not going to be able to as much roll as much as I can pat. So I'm just patting just to give it that nice sheen. So when she turns, it picks on light and looks beautiful.
That's beautiful. It's really highlighted the features there. Okay, what's your question?
I want to come back to concealing. If you don't need a model who's got too much of correction and only she needs a little bit of concealing, can we go for a foundation and then a concealer on that? Is it ideal?
So you mean to say whether you need to go foundation first or concealer first? Absolutely, you can. Now in the case of derma, it is a concealer, it is a foundation. So it really doesn't matter. But I would say if someone really doesn't have too many skin issues, I would do foundation first because that limits the number of products or the amount of product of concealer I would use, because then we have a tendency to over-obsess over getting it all clean. So I think that what you said just makes so much sense.
And in that case, would the concealer will be a one shade lighter, or we stick to the...
Always stick to a shade that can go deeper first. Once you've corrected the area, then go in. I know we see a lot of YouTube videos with highlighting the base of the eyes. Remember, those are skin that is very clean, very neat. But down with us, when we have deep under eyes, remember, if you have dark circles that you've covered and then you go and highlight right under it, you could tend to actually add a spotlight
No,
and
in
bring
case
back.
we do not have to correct it. You're only concealing, and if our foundation
Yes, you could go
is
lighter.
high
Definitely.
coverage, so
Definitely. Look down, Mala.
Super. So as Zorain is just finishing off now, hopefully you've all been great, by the way, and really responsive. So we've got passed on some lovely little tips there, I think, as well, Zorain. So you're just now going underneath the lashes with a bit of liner. That's a really good tip to make your lashes look a lot thicker. So, and it also lifts the eye beautifully. So that's just going on the waterline underneath the top set of lashes using the eye pencil.
And since it's a very nude sort of a look, I am keeping it really, really simple under the eye. I know Armand wants me to finish off soon.
Sorry, we've got 3 minutes.
3 minutes to go.
I know.
Okay, so I am taking, like the Anastasia palette, something that's quite skin. I love tones with brown that have slight amount of red in it, because that kind of lifts our Indian skin tone a lot more. So feel free, just a bit of a blend there. A trick that I always teach my students as well back in the academy is the fact that I like to keep this clean. So what I do is I actually put my thumb here and take my kajal and pull it out. So what happens is that gives me a great base, because once now I'm doing it with a brush, all I am doing is holding that edge and pulling it out.
And just flicking it up ever so slightly. That colour is beautiful. As you said, it's got the red base to it. A lot of browns can be very flat and can be quite draining on olive skin
especially
tones
on
and
our skin.
Asian skin tones.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's great that you've used a colour with a little bit of red just to lift the eyes.
Sorry.
And then is that a slight bit of contouring going on
Slight bit of contour,
just onto the
just
lid as well?
that.
So this is a really good clean look to emphasize the beauty of the skin. So even if you have a client whose skin tone or skin condition is very challenging, you can see it's easy to just enhance the features and make the skin look as healthy as possible. Especially for bridal as well. I know probably a lot of you here do bridal work. I think it's very important that a bride looks great in real life. Yes, of course, you can look fantastic on photographs, but the skin has to look really fresh because she has got loads of guests around her. And everybody will be looking at her. She's the centerpiece, the center of attention. And now just onto mascara.
Just to finish off the
Just
entire thing.
lifting up the lashes there with the mascara. Are you using a particular mascara there?
I am using the Hot and Naughty from MAC again. Love this because it comes with a double brush. So you can use the little teeny weeny side, which actually removes a lot more product than before, just to touch on the bottom. So it's very, very little product. Hence it just sweeps onto the base, not adding too much of clump.
Super. And that's just enhanced the eyes. And then there we are. So as you can see, a really lovely, fresh-faced skin. If you just turn towards the camera. Can you see that, guys? Yeah?
Just 1 second.
And just
Close your mouth.
a tiny little bit going onto the lid. It's finishing touch.
Just add a bit of a nice rosy hint.
And this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette as well, which is a lovely little palette to have. That's wonderful.
It's done.
Zorain, thank you so much. Now, Zorain is going
pleasure
to
for
be, we're going to take Zorain over to the makeup week over there. You can have a photograph with her and her model. If you've got any questions, we have literally 10 minutes. So you've got 10 minutes with her. And then we need to get everybody out and get reset ready for our next expert at 12 o'clock. Thank you so much, ladies and gents. A round of applause
Thank
for Zorain,
you,
our gorgeous
everyone.
model.
I hope you enjoyed. And if ever in doubt, I'm just an Instagram message away.
Exactly. So please do follow Zorain, and also please make sure to check out her studio, Zorain Studio in Bangalore. So Zorain, if you want to follow me over to the area, thank you so much. And thank you guys. And we will see you back
We'll
here
just
at
get
12
some
o'clock.
updates.
So again, please feel free to have a question, a photograph with Zorain and her model. But then we need everybody out of here as well. Thank you so much. Oh, one thing. We just want to say a little thank you, Zorain. We've got Vic here. I forgot about
Aw.
this. Sorry, Vic.
Thank you, Vikas. That is
Do you want to say
really,
anything,
really
Vic?
sweet. Yeah, because you don't
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Thank you. Round of applause for Zorain. Thank you so much.